How are we going, everyone? What a wonderful game last night. And before we get into that game, happy Diwali to everyone over there in India. That's why I'm wearing the coloured shirt today. Just trying to get in that spirit, that festival spirit. Akash Saka, K.E. Sharma, Atul Baral, how are you going? Shankar Prasad, Vinit Shay, thanks all for joining us, and we're going to get into it. We're going to get to the questions later on, but this is one of the best games that I have ever seen in the game of cricket. The way that it was played between both teams, they showed absolute respect for each other, and it was the perfect example of how cricket should be played. The spirit of the game was at its full heights. And let's roll bumper and get to the talking points, please, Shubs. Rightio, guys, it was a wonderful game, and I just really enjoyed every moment of it. But Kohli was unbelievable. The way that he just controlled the innings throughout from start to finish was him at his best. A lot of people were writing him off, but when the big game came and it's between Pakistan and India and they're in a run chase, who do you call? Virat Kohli, the best in the business when you've got to run down a score. And I just loved the way that he set it up out the back end. I think it was the 18th over, Shaheen Afridi bowling to him, and short ball, pulls it through square leg for 4. Next ball, just gets a couple through cover, and then he takes him over cover as well as he's backing away. Doesn't quite get it, but that changes Shaheen Afridi's mindset, and he starts not to think as clearly as he should. And that final ball, short, down leg side, easy pickings for Virat Kohli, not bowling to his field. That's putting the bowler under pressure. Virat Kohli did that very well. And then Haris Rauf, the next over, that 6 off the 5th ball, where it's a shortish delivery, waist high, and he's hit it straight down the ground for 6. I don't think I've seen a better shot. But that's put Rauf off, who's bowled a brilliant over and set it up for the left arm off spinner out the back end. But Rauf, under pressure with that shot, all of a sudden didn't execute the Yorker he wanted. He was attacking out the legs, easy pickings for Virat Kohli, another 6, and that brought the equation to 16 off the last over with Noah's, the left arm off spinner bowling. And that was a big moment. The game was on a cliff's edge, but Virat Kohli just got them over the line, and well done to Ashwin for that final shot out the back end as well. Kohli keeping his cool, never falters under pressure, always backing his strengths. That's the way to do it if you're a junior out there. Learn to back your strengths under pressure and just take those deep breaths. Good stuff by Kohli. He's my favourite, and I still think he should be Indian captain, and he's a great leader. And we're going to go to the next talking point, and I want to bring this man up. Can we get to that next talking point, please, Shubs? Pandya. The thing I like about Virat Kohli is he acknowledges his teammates, and he acknowledged Pandya last night for getting him over a pressure situation. Pandya was the one who got the momentum in India's favour. He was the one starting to find the boundaries, and he took that pressure off Kohli. But it wasn't just his batting presence, it was also his mindset as well. He went up to Virat Kohli and said, "We can do this, mate. We can do this. Okay, we've got to back ourselves." And this is why I reckon Hardik Pandya is going to be the future captain of India in white format cricket. He did it for his team in Gujarat, and I thought he did a wonderful job. He was calm, collect, and he was calm, collect last night. And he's got the presence of mind. Even though he's got one of the biggest names out the other end, he has a sense that Virat Kohli is just not quite out his peak mentally at that moment, and he's strong enough to go up there and say, "Virat, come on, we can do this." So he helped Virat Kohli along, as well as setting up that momentum by finding the boundaries and putting the pressure back on the Pakistan bowlers. Pandya, wonderful all-rounder, one of the most vital players you can have in your T20 team. Rightio, we're going to go to the next talking point, and it's not all about India, because Pakistan played a wonderful game, and I was worried about their middle order. I knew that they were going to rely on their top order in Rizwan and Babar Azam. Both of them gone cheaply. Babar Azam out for a golden duck. But Shan Masood and Iftikhar Ahmed coming out and delivering, both getting 50s, and what a formidable partnership that was, kept Pakistan in the game, and Masood batting right through the innings and really handling the pressure right to the end with a strong attack from India was sensational, was one of the best innings I've seen from him and Iftikhar as well. Pakistan, although they've lost this game, with these two firing with the bat and with the way that they bowled through this particular game, and were able to handle the pressure to those situations. It was only one ball. It came down to that final ball. Pakistan still a big chance of taking out this tournament as well. So Pakistan and India, probably the two form teams right now going forward, and they are probably the likely teams to be able to challenge England, who I still think are favourites. Next talking point, please, Shubs. Just like to talk about Ashwin's catch. I've seen a lot of complaints about Ashwin on Twitter. Yes, he does have a bit of a voice out there. He does speak his mind. We've got to respect that because everyone should be able to say what they feel. And that's what I like about Ashwin. But that catch last night, let's get off his back because he's running forward. His knees were on the ground. Lots of body parts hitting the ground at the same time. And I know a lot of fielders, myself, in that same situation would have thought that we had taken the catch. And the great thing about it now is that we've got TV replays to be able to look at it, analyse it, and get the right result. So don't blame the player in that particular instance because he's not guilty, because he felt he'd taken the catch, and a lot of other players would have felt that they have taken that catch as well. So for me, there is a lot more other issues where players are on the borderline of cheating or not. That is definitely not one of them, and far from it. So get off his back. Okay, Shubs, let's get to the questions. This is what I like about these live shows. I like the questions. I like to have my say at the front, and then I like you guys to ask me what you feel, and I don't mind you getting stuck into me as well for some of the things I said on Twitter last night. Ayosh Shikar, hi Hoggy. First of all, happy Diwali. Yes, happy Diwali to everyone over there in India and to you and your family. According to your prediction, which are the four teams that will make the semi-finals of this year's T20 World Cup? For me, it's going to be Pakistan, India and England. The way that New Zealand played Australia the other night, I have just put New Zealand in front of Australia. There's some big games ahead. England versus New Zealand is going to be an absolute cracker. That's going to be that's going to be a finals game for New Zealand. Australia versus England as well is a finals game. Australia have to stand up and beat England, and I'm a little bit worried about that because England are absolutely dominating at the moment. Australia have to fly over here, play on Tuesday, then fly back and play England on Friday in Melbourne, I think it is. And England are in Melbourne. They play Ireland on Wednesday. They get a bit of a break and they stay in Melbourne and play Australia on Melbourne. So they've got the right schedule to beat Australia, and also they're in the right conditions to beat Australia. Pakistan, they've just got to beat South Africa out the back end. I think that's November 3rd or 4th. That game will be a final for Pakistan, and I think they'll be too good for South Africa. But they are my semi-finalists. Thanks very much, Ayush. A wonderful question there. And sorry I took too long on that answer. It was a long-winded answer. Vinit Shah, what's your take on Rohit batting after becoming captain? It has hampered a lot. Yeah, I just think it's taken a little bit of freedom away. I think Virat Kohli, he really thrived with the captaincy. He wanted to lead his team. I think Rohit Sharma is a little bit more conservative in his personality, and I just feel as though he's a little bit tentative at the present moment. There's spits and spurts, but I think he's got to take a leaf out of Ricky Ponting's captaincy. When I say Ricky Ponting's captaincy, what Ricky used to say is he only captained the team when he was out in the field. When it came to batting, everyone knew what their job was, and his job was just to go out there and make runs. And that's what Rohit's got to think about. When I'm batting, I'm not the captain. I'm out there as a batsman. The only time I'm a leader is, or when I'm captaining the team, is when I'm actually out in the field. And you've got Rahul Dravid there as the coach. If anything needs to be changed in the batting lineup, let Rahul Dravid do that. Just let Rohit go out there and concentrate on his batting and he can help Rahul Dravid with those decision-making scenarios if he gets out early like he did last night. Vinit, that's a very good observation. I really love that, and I love all the questions and the comments and the statements that everyone who follows me come up with, because you've all got great cricket knowledge. Next question, please, Shubs. Omkar Rot. Is Kohli the greatest ever player to soak the pressure? Oh, you know, he's up there. He's up there. The only other player that I would put out his level through my era would be Adam Gilchrist. Adam Gilchrist, if you look at the big performances that he had, the big contributions that he had for Australia, it was when Australia were under pressure. That's when he stood up, and he's very similar to Virat Kohli, but they both do different roles. Gilchrist came in at the back end. That was in Test cricket, but then he opened the batting into white ball cricket. But there were moments there where we were struggling, and he stood up. Virat Kohli, when run chases are there, pressure's on. I don't think I've come across too many players that are as good as Virat Kohli under pressure. But I've got to say, last night, Sharma, Iftikhar were sensational under pressure. Ashwin coming out the end and hitting that ball over mid-off, that's handling the pressure as well. I thought all the bowlers last night handled the pressure extremely well on both sides. Even Nizwan out the back end, left arm off spin with 16 runs under the board to chase with Virat Kohli out the crease. I thought he did a wonderful job. Even though there were a couple of dodgy calls there with over-pitch deliveries, I still thought he handled the pressure quite well. So for me, a lot of players last night handled the pressure, but I don't think there's anyone as good as Virat Kohli. And while I'm saying this, I'm just trying to think of all the players that I play with. There's so many players that love the pressure, but Virat Kohli handles it the best. That's a great observation, and it's a very hard question to answer, but I can't see too many people toppling. Gee whiz, Shubs, that's a question which is, these questions are really making me think and waffle on today. Rahul Jawar. Just feel KL Rahul cannot play in this team. His performances against strong teams has been dismal. Well, this is going to be an interesting one right now. You've got Virat Kohli coming in at number 3. Rohit Sharma just looking as though he's struggling out the top there with Rahul. Strike rates out the top there, not quite as damaging as other teams. And I think if they come against someone like England in that finals game, they're going to have to look at scoring out 8 to 8.5 runs and over, because England really attack with the bat. And if they make a big score, well, you have to change your batting lineup. So for me, I think they could start thinking about going, we might be able to bat Virat now opening the batting, even though he's dominated out number 3, and try and bring Pant into that middle order and just have a little bit more dynamite batting power, batting prowess in that middle order, because I think the T20 game's changing. I think opposition teams are trying to play that power game in the middle phase, and it's going to come off, and it's not going to come off most times. Or it's not going to come off. It's a bit of a 50-50, but I just think you need that extra power depth and hope that one of those batsmen come off on any particular game. So for me, Rahul could come out, Virat up, and that's how you get Pant into the team. And then you've got that left-handed bat to face left arm off spin, and you need that on some of the boundaries here in Australia. Rahul, very good observation there, and I really don't like putting KL Rahul down there. I think he's been one of the most versatile batters for India over the last 4 years. He's been put in different situations, batted at different positions in the order. Every time something's been asked of him, he's delivered 95% of the time. So it's very harsh to drop him from this team, even though I think they should for the balance in T20 cricket now. Zahid Butt, how are you going? I hope you're all right. What was the turning point according to you? I think the turning point, there were 2 turning points. I think when Virat Kohli got that ball from just on leg stump, where he's just backed away over cover for 4. It changed Shaheen Afridi's mindset. Shaheen Afridi went shorter, and that final ball, he probably should have gone fuller with the field that he set, but he got it wrong. It was on the leg side, and Virat Kohli was able to get it over short fine leg for another boundary. And then Ralph in the follow-up over bowled a sensational first 4 balls, and then Virat Kohli had to take a risk. It was a fast, good length delivery, and it came up waist high. Virat Kohli hitting that 6 straight down the ground. You could see Ralph just watching it go over and going, this guy is one of the best batsmen, or if not the best batsman I've bowled to, if he can hit me back over my head on that length out that pace for 6 here at the MCG. The next ball, he tried to bowl a Yorker, out leg stump. It was on a good length, and Virat Kohli was able to help it on its way for 6. So I think that was where the turning points are. And don't blame the bowlers for that, because pressure situations, they executed most of the time last night, and it's very hard for a bowler to defend out that back end, and I thought they all did a fantastic job. But that's where the turning point was. So great question there, Zahid. I love it. I love it. I love the way these teams played last night. And before I answer your question, Inteza Hazan, I just love the spirit of the game, and it just shows how sport brings all cultures together last night. The players out in the middle were sensational advocates of the game. In place of Rahul, do you think Gill will be good for opener, as Gill is good in these conditions? Yeah, well, Gill, that's a good point, actually. Very, very, very good observation, because remember, Gill came over here and won the test match, especially at Brisbane, with that magnificent innings where he just put the pressure back on the Australian attack, the way he dominated opening the innings. I just think, yeah, you need someone aggressive like that at the top order, and allow Rohit or Virat Kohli, one of those two, to try and bat through the innings like Virat did. But you need a little bit more assertiveness out the top. You need one player to be a little bit more aggressive. You can't have your top 3 just trying to conserve wickets in that power play. Because last night, if it wasn't for Pandya in those middle overs starting to get 6s at that right time, it could have been curtains for India. Virat Kohli needs that time to bat through the innings, and we've seen his strike rate out the back end up around that 200 mark, and that's why he's good, because he chews up a few balls out the start, but then finishes off beautifully out the back end. And someone like Gill can take that pressure off those top 3 positions in the power play phase. You need someone to take a risk there. Intessa, that was a very good question. Love it. Thank you very much for that. And thanks for joining me. Rana Hamza, how are you going? Was that a no ball? Look, I'm looking at both of them, because there were 2 that were above or around waist high last night. I just think in those situations, especially pressure games like this, use the technology when it's there and try and get the right decision. That's all I can say. I thought the umpires did a great job, but that final over, under pressure, and the pressure game with what happens between India and Pakistan, I thought everyone held themselves accountable. If I'm a Pakistan fan, if I was a Pakistan fan, I'd be disappointed with the call. If I'm an Indian fan, I'm happy with the call. As a neutral fan, I would have liked it to go up and use the DRS to make sure they got the right decision. So for me, that's where I'm at. Look, things go your way, others don't. I think the run out of Axar Patel, I thought that should have been given not out. There was so much doubt there, and that went in Pakistan's favour. But that wasn't as crucial as the decisions in that back end. But at the end of the day, it's done and dusted. We saw a quality game. We saw players out there handle the pressure to the hilt. And I don't think I've seen a better game of cricket in my life. And I think we can walk away from that. And I think with your comment there, I think there's a few things that we need to look at. Use a DRS for situations like that, for waist-high full tosses, to make sure that we get the right decision. And I think the other rule change that we can have on a free hit, the idea of the free hit is to hit the ball. If you get bowled, I think it should be called dead ball straight away. unless the umpire has called a no ball, because at the end of the day, the object of the bowler is to hit the stumps, get the batsman out. And if the batsman's got a free hit and he doesn't hit it, well, too bad. That's the only thing. And I like your comments or your statements on the comments below about that particular rule as well. I'm actually going to put that little statement up in Twitter. But the rule said last night, it hits the stumps with a free hit, you can run. So it was all well within the rules and laws of the game last night with what happened in India. Thanks very much for that question, Rana. Sensational. Happy Diwali, Swayam Shri. How do you think Asian spinners will adapt to Aussie conditions? I thought they bowled pretty well last night. I thought the leg spinners were getting up and over and getting a lot of overspin on the ball. The off spinners were trying to bowl into the wicket and use the skid. It was a greener surface and just skid onto the bat and hurry the batsman up. The batsmen who picked that up early tried to use their feet and hit down the ground to those off spinners. So that was a great tactic to use against off spin on those conditions. And that's the way to bowl in Australia, is to try and get the skid on, undercut it, if you haven't got that overspin to your armoury. If you've got the overspin, you've got to use that here in Australia, get that loop, and that gives you extra bounce and makes the batsman hit higher up on the bat. But if you've only got the undercut, well, your majority of the deliveries have got to be undercut, skidding into the legs of the batsman on a good length. Every now and then, go wider of the crease and try and make the batsman reach for the ball. But you've got to get overspin on the ball here in Australia. Oh, is that all, Shubs? We can go a bit more, I would have thought. But thanks very much for joining us, guys. Look, Pakistan fans, commiserations. Indian fans, congratulations. And we saw one of the best contests between bat and ball last night, especially pace bowling against batsmen. Let's just recognise that for what it is, and just really appreciate the way that the players out in the middle controlled themselves, held the spirit of the cricket. And for two nations that have so much rivalry, I don't think there was a better example of cricket on how it was meant to be played. So congratulations to India, Pakistan. You represented your countries well, and you represented the game of cricket to the utmost highest standard. I am so emotional about that game. It's I can still feel it, and it wanted me to be out there and be part of the contest again. Well done to everyone. Congratulations, and thanks very much for joining me on Hogs Vlog.